Tonight, the Prime Minister facing mounting pressure from within his own party.
I hope the Prime Minister reads the writing on the wall.
The Ontario Liberal MPs who came to a clear consensus.
There's a strong view that something needs to happen, that the Prime Minister needs to move on.
As the party launches a new attack ad. The likely cause behind a carbon monoxide poisoning that hospitalized 10 people.
I heard a lot of screaming and shouting. I saw 2 cop cars.
And from wildfires to floods, how do you rank the most extreme weather moments of the year?
5 of the events on this list surpassed $7 billion in damage.
Plus, fearless and festive.
Because Christmas to me is not one time a year, it's a mindset.
The creative Christmas display to help inspire kindness throughout the year.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
Good evening. The pressure on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau just keeps building. After a tumultuous week, which included the stunning resignation of Chrystia Freeland, there are new calls from Ontario's Liberal MPs for him to step down. CTV's Jeremy Sharon has the latest.
A Liberal government in crisis, with a Prime Minister facing mounting pressure from within to step aside.
Do you still have confidence in the Prime Minister?
The latest push coming from Ontario MPs, part of the party's largest regional caucus, which held a virtual weekend meeting Saturday.
I'm told 51 caucus members participated, and according to the reports I received, not a single person present, including cabinet ministers, spoke in favor of the Prime Minister continuing as the leader.
Sources tell CTV News there was no formal vote, but consensus was reached and the message will be conveyed to the Prime Minister.
I hope the Prime Minister reads the writing on the wall.
Some members of that Ontario caucus among a growing list of MPs that have already gone public with their concerns.
While respectful of Mr. Trudeau's leadership and our accomplishments over the last 9 years, it's time for him to step aside and allow voters to vote Liberal.
That vote is what the Liberal Party is after in a new ad campaign launched today.
I heard Pierre Poilievre has voted against more money for public health care and dental care.
The party calling this their first TV ad of the 2025 general election, but it doesn't feature a Liberal leader.
Well, it certainly leads one to suspect that the party is positioning itself one way or the other in case there's a post-Trudeau campaign.
Prime Minister, how are you done reflecting?
And while questions swirl over the Liberal Party's leadership and the Prime Minister's future, the uncertainty in Ottawa in the face of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's tariff threats
Tariffs will make our country rich.
Is already taking an economic toll.
An already weakened Canadian dollar is continuing to devaluate, and we're seeing disinvestment from Canada.
Donald Trump is set to take office January 20th, with MPs set to be back in Ottawa a week later, meaning they could return to face tariffs that could cripple this country's economy. Heather?
Jeremy, thank you. The tariff threats don't just end with Canada. Today, Donald Trump took aim at Panama during his biggest public event since he won the election.
The principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to the United States of America.
The channel links the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. 14,000 ships pass through the strategic waterway every year. Trump says the nation has been charging excessive fees over the use of the canal since the U.S. gave up control 25 years ago. Holiday shopping took a terrifying turn at a mall in Texas. At least 5 people were injured when a man crashed his truck into a store.
Oh my God! No way!
The truck plowed into the front of a JCPenney store late yesterday, shattering glass doors and striking multiple people. Authorities say a state trooper tried to pull the vehicle over when he took off, veering off the road and into the store. Police opened fire, killing the suspect, 53-year-old John Schultz. We're learning more tonight about the victims of the horrific Christmas market attack in Germany and hearing from a heartbroken mother who lost her 9-year-old. Government officials now say there were plenty of warnings of a possible attack. CTV's Kamal Karamali reports.
An eerie silence hung over the Magdeburg Christmas market today, open for the first time since Friday's deadly attack. Families hope to be celebrating under Christmas lights, instead lighting candles in mourning to remember the victims of a horrific rampage at the outdoor market. The driver of a black car accelerating down a packed alley, mowing down people without pause for 3 minutes. One of the victims killed, 9-year-old Andre Gleisner. His mom posting online, "Let my little teddy bear fly around the world again. Andre didn't do anything to anybody. He was only 9 years with us on Earth. You will always live in our hearts. I promise you that." The other 4 killed, all women ranging from mid-40s to their 70s. German authorities facing intense criticism today for security lapses that allowed the attack to happen.
It's very clear that the various layers of security protections in Germany had some holes in it, and like slices of Swiss cheese.
The suspect, Talib al-Abdul Mohsen, a 50-year-old Saudi doctor, expressed strong views against Islam on social media and helped other ex-Muslims flee Saudi Arabia. Voicing support of far-right and anti-immigrant politics, here he is in an interview just last week with a right-wing activist organization. He had come to police's attention in a string of threatening criminal acts that spanned over a decade and a warning from Saudi Arabia just last year.
But you also had warnings domestically in Germany from people who knew him to the police that he is getting quite weird.
Prosecutors say he may have been unhappy with the treatment of Saudi refugees in Germany. Germany's top investigative police agency in response says the warning from Saudi Arabia was not specific. The suspect was known to make a high number of posts online, including threats and insults, but was not known to be violent until now. Heather.
CTV's Kamal Karamali reporting. A shocking smash and grab was caught on camera at a neighborhood jewelry store in Montreal. Thieves crashed an SUV through the storefront window, smashing glass cases full of jewelry with a sledgehammer. The store owner confronted the 3 armed attackers. In less than a minute, robbers ran out with tens of thousands of dollars worth of gold.
Yeah, then I just tried to hit them like they should go out, but they guys came in with a big hammer, rods, guns. It's hard for me to only I'm the one who is here.
No arrests have been made. Montreal police hope someone will identify the suspects on the surveillance video. A chaotic scene in Ottawa this morning. 10 people were rushed to hospital after a suspected carbon monoxide exposure. CTV's Natalie Van Roy on what happened.
A chaotic emergency unfolding Sunday morning at this Vanier home minutes from downtown Ottawa.
I woke up around 9 a.m. I heard a lot of screaming and shouting, so I looked out the window. I saw 2 cop cars.
Ottawa police say 10 people, including 6 adults and 4 children, were exposed to carbon monoxide in a townhome.
One male is in serious condition at the hospital, and all the other persons involved are in stable condition.
First responders rushing to the scene around 9:15 in the morning.
A friend that had stopped by that had seen them in distress and called 911. The family that lives at the address is new to Canada. They're not really familiar with the cold, and they did run their vehicle to make it warm for them to travel at some point, not knowing that they then had to open their garage door to properly, adequately ventilate the area.
Investigators say all 10 people were in the same unit.
They just moved in maybe 2 months ago, so unfortunately I don't know them very well.
Well, the incident is still under investigation. Ottawa police say they are not treating it as suspicious. The other 2 neighboring units were also evacuated while neighbors jumped in to help.
My neighbor was there, the one beside the unit, helped him out, welcomed him in our house with his dog because he was cold outside.
Enbridge spent the day at the property performing tests. Police say there were carbon monoxide detectors inside the home.
Can say that there is sufficient alert systems inside the house. Whether or not they were in working order, we're not exactly sure yet, as the investigation is still ongoing.
The incident sending shockwaves through the community. Natalie Van Roy, CTV News, Ottawa.
The use of cannabis in Canada is driving demand for more insight on their effects on consumers. Some researchers in Saskatchewan are testing theories in a controlled simulator, recruiting people to eat weed gummies before getting behind the wheel. CTV's Alison Bamford explains.
This is a driver's test on drugs.
Most of the research right now is on inhaled cannabis or smoked cannabis. There hasn't been any studies looking at the effects of edibles.
Until now.
Next, on your left.
This University of Saskatchewan study will test driving performance under the influence of 2 cannabis strains. 50 participants will consume 10 milligrams of THC gummies before getting behind the wheel at 4 different times over the course of 6 hours.
And we're trying to understand how quickly these edibles hit, how pronounced those effects might be, and how long they last.
And if that's not hard enough,
You can add rain, you can add hail, you can add snow.
conditions can change at the press of a button, while researchers track eye movement, speed, brake pressure, and how well drivers stay in their lane.
We are expecting to see some detriments to driving, especially at the height of when the effects are occurring, so usually around 2.5 hours.
The Canadian Automobile Association is co-funding the study, hoping more research and awareness leads to safer roads.
Our goal is to ensure that cannabis impaired driving doesn't take generations to become socially unacceptable like drunk driving has.
Roadside suspensions due to cannabis use are increasing. Saskatchewan reported nearly 1,600 suspensions last year, up from 839 in 2022.
One of the biggest challenges for drivers who use cannabis is that there's no way to know, based on what you consume, what your blood THC level will be.
Unlike alcohol, cannabis impairment is difficult to quantify. Federal laws prohibit a blood drug concentration of 2 nanograms or higher when driving. But in provinces like Saskatchewan, there's zero tolerance.
This has the potential to really inform policy in terms of how we assess drivers going forward.
The lab is gearing up for an early January start date, hoping to have results out by May. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Coming up, a treacherous journey.
When the cartel say you have to move, you have to move.
The deadly cost of crossing a popular migrant route in search of a better life. The immigrant dream is to make it to Canada or the U.S. for a better life. Many go through legal channels, others make a dangerous trek, risking their lives. In case you missed it, CTV's W5 got rare access to a treacherous stretch many attempt to cross. Here's CTV's Avery Haynes.
W5 has spent the past year tracking the migrant crisis as hundreds of thousands of people made their way up through the Darien Gap and then the far more treacherous Mexico, all with this hope of an American dream, trying to enter a country that so clearly doesn't want them.
The infamous border wall separating Mexico from the United States begins here in Tijuana, not on land, but in the sea.
Each of these metal posts create these powerful riptides which pull migrants out to sea. Scores have died in just a 60-meter stretch of ocean.
The border stretches about 3,000 kilometers. The red line is where there's fencing or a wall, and the white where there's no barrier at all. Despite the height of this wall, we find evidence that migrants cross here into Arizona. And within minutes, I collect a treasure trove of discarded passports and ID cards.
It's like the United Nations of identification here. People from all over the world, from Dominica, Nepal, Mauritania, and India. The list goes on.
But it just doesn't make sense. How could anyone get over this mammoth wall? An Arizona Border Patrol agent pulls up and has some answers.
When the cartel say you have to move, you have to move. They waiting, usually it's a ship chain, so they got the bollocks.
That's right, the human smugglers cut through metal, concrete, and rebar in minutes. Here's the evidence of where it's been successful and where it's been interrupted. And then the border agent tells me to walk down along the wall a little further. Listen closely to what he says.
Right now,
The gate is open despite the massive effort to keep migrants out. It's wide open in this stretch for 2 months a year during monsoon season to stop the roads from being washed out by a buildup of rain.
People know this and come here to cross illegally. So you're patrolling all the time to see.
The border agent leaves, and as we're getting shots of the wide open gates, visitors.
Hola, soy Avery.
We tell them we're journalists and they take off. But soon after, another vehicle with more men.
Hola. No, está bien.
They want to know what we're doing here, and they're not friendly. The guy in the red shirt keeps spitting. They're asking about the camera and tell us to turn it off.
Turn it off, yeah.
They're Falcons, cartel lookouts. After trying to intimidate us for a while, they leave. We get visits from Falcons almost every time we stop along the border, including here on a little road across from El Paso, Texas.
It's kind of spooky here because it seems as though we're all alone, but we're not. Cars like this, as well as people walking by, are actually Falcons. They're the spies who are checking out what we're doing.
We decide to leave.
Do we need to move?
We have another one in the back, in front.
We've had now 3 cars come up. One at the front, one at the back, and one just parked down there.
Different cartels control every inch of the border wall. Migrants who sneak into the U.S. must pay them to cross. We want to know how much they charge and are being driven to a rare interview with a human smuggler.
You can watch that full series on w5.ctvnews.ca. And the migrant crisis is now right at Canada's far more porous border. Concerns about surges in both directions. There's been an 80% increase in 2024 compared to previous years of people entering the United States through Canada. 200,000 encounters in 2024. As well, officials on this side of the border are preparing for a potential migrant surge. Back to you.
Avery Haynes reporting for us tonight. Still ahead, Canada's climate. The top weather moments of a year that left many still recovering. From wildfires to floods, weather conditions have grown increasingly erratic and extreme. Environment Canada has zeroed in on the most impactful events of the year. Here's CTV's Kathy Lee.
A symphony of hammers and drills fill the air. Months after a hailstorm pummeled parts of Calgary, the list of repairs piling up.
This is probably going to give us at least 2 years of work.
At $2.8 billion in damages, the Insurance Bureau of Canada says it's the second costliest disaster in Canadian history and makes the 5th spot on Environment Canada's list of the top 10 most impactful weather events in the country this year.
5 of the events on this list surpassed $7 billion in damage.
The events were picked for their severity, the impact or damage to humans and the economy, and the sheer extent of the affected area. Many in the top 10 hit here in Alberta, including the one in first place.
The Jasper wildfire. The massive inferno sparked by lightning, extreme heat, and scant rain made conditions ripe for the monster to grow. Thousands evacuated the tourist town, a third of it destroyed. Wildfires in Western Labrador also made the list, as did hurricane season in central Canada. Then the atmospheric rivers in British Columbia, and an intense deep freeze in Western Canada, parts of BC, Alberta, and Saskatchewan dipping to -50.
We are certainly observing more extreme events than we have in the past. That aligns with what is expected with climate change. Our world is changing, and we do need to find ways to adapt to it.
Adaptation includes a possible different plan to handle damages in the future.
We can't be seeing losses escalate this rapidly, and for governments to continue to do nothing, frankly, or very little, and expect insurance to still be available across the country.
At least for now, insurance is still available for those who need these fixes.
We're working with over 30 body shop partners to try to get this completed.
And once done, the hope is these vehicles will evade any more damage the next time a storm hits. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A massive rescue in Colorado after more than 100 skiers and snowboarders got stuck on their gondolas. Rescue operations at Winter Park Resort took nearly 6 hours. Ski Patrol used rope to lower all 174 people. No injuries were reported. An official with the ski resort says this crack is likely to have caused the lift to malfunction. An unbelievable father-son moment played out on the golf course today.
Really good contact. This is a great looking shot if it's the right number.
Oh, it is the right number. Oh, it's a hole-in-one!
Tiger Woods isn't the only member of his family capable of memorable moments. Charlie Woods didn't even realize he shot a hole-in-one. Proud father Tiger celebrated with a smile. Still ahead, lighting up the night skies with an unforgettable Christmas memory. For many, Christmas offers a beacon of hope. And tonight, one BC woman is sharing her holiday spirit by creating unforgettable displays to inspire kindness and connection with others throughout the year. Here's CTV's Adam Sawatsky.
Just brings me back, throwback to those times.
Although she doesn't need to look at photos to remember her Christmas past, Alicia Pauling says she has a photographic memory.
I can recall events and things like sense, smell, auditory.
And every feeling, too, Alicia says, from almost every day.
I could be transported back in time.
One of Alicia's earliest happy memories is when she was 2, driving in her grandpa's station wagon, looking at Christmas lights.
It just sparked some light and wonder and feeling of magic.
On the other hand, Alicia's hardest are from when her remarkable memories started making her feel different than others.
It was a little sad. I felt like I had to hide myself.
But no matter how many bad memories she made during the year, Alicia could always count on Christmas to make countless good ones.
It was like the space and the place where I noticed people came together, put differences aside.
So although Alicia was dimming her light in public, she felt inspired to brighten her home in private with decorations.
Oh, it felt like I was in touch with this inner creator, this passionate, uplifting side.
Alicia began transforming every room in her house, decorating 25 diverse trees, and unabashedly being herself over the holidays.
And be fearless in who I am, because I knew that would help serve for the greater good.
Alicia felt so empowered by the positivity inside, she felt compelled to share it by being fearlessly festive outside.
That you can tap into your whatever joy-filled feeling that it might bring and build a spark of connection.
And even if you don't have a photographic memory, Alicia hopes her display inspires the kind of Christmas you'll never forget.
Because Christmas to me is not one time a year, it's a mindset and how I want to show up and be in the world.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Port Alberni.
That is our newscast for this Sunday night. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. I'm Heather Butts. Good night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.